Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasa Adi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So 17th Adhyaya of the first skanda of Srimad Bhagavatam. First verse, Parikshit sees Kali dressed as a Raja attacking a cow and a bull with a club. Second verse is the bull is standing on one leg and urinating. The cow's legs were being beaten and she was crying. She was rendered calfless. Then 4 to 6, Parikshit is on his rath and he addresses Kali. He informs Kali that his actions offend the principles of Kshatriya Dharma. He informs Kali that he deserves to be punished with death, Mrityu Danda. 7, Parikshit asks the bull who he is. He asks him, is he a Devata? 8 through 11, he tells the cow and the bull not to fear, that he will protect them. He informs them that the actions of Kali deserve the death penalty, Mrityu Danda. Verse 12, Parikshit repeats his question to the bull. He explains that in the kingdom, the Rajya of those who follow Lord Krishna, no one suffers in this way. 13 to 16, Parikshit again asserts that those who perpetrate such acts as attacking you, a bull, must fear the Rajas who are from the Kuru dynasty. Anyone who perpetrates such offenses, even a Devata, will be punished by myself, Parikshit tells Kali. Kshatriya Dharma means protection is given to the citizens of the state by the Raja. Sorry, Parikshit was addressing this to the bull, not Kali. Kshatriya Dharma means protection should be given to the citizens. And Parikshit asks, who has beaten you? To the bull. So Dharma responds to Parikshit in 17 to 20. He glorifies the Pandavas and Parikshit, their grandson. Lord Krishna performed duties as a messenger of the Pandavas. So that's a glorification of the Pandavas' exalted stature, that Lord Krishna would serve them, which was his Leela. So the bull responds, the bull says it is hard to understand who is the perpetrator of these sins. He becomes philosophical and then he describes there are different types of sufferings. He doesn't use the words adhyatmik, adidaivik, and adibhotik, but it's synonymous. That means our bodies suffer, suffering caused by the body itself, suffering caused by the devatas who control the material world and the material world itself. So Dharma tells Parikshit that he must determine who is causing the suffering to the bull, myself, after explaining philosophically to Parikshit. So in 21, Sutta tells Shonaka that Parikshit understood perfectly this philosophy that was explained by Dharma the bull, and he responded to Dharma. And he tells Dharma that I understand that you are Dharma personified. And he says that the Supreme Lord's energies are inconceivable. The Lord cannot be understood by mental speculation and word jugglery. 24, Parikshit tells Dharma that your 4 legs functioned fully during Satya Yuga, but now due to a dharma in the form of pride, lust, and intoxication, 3 of your legs are broken. Dharma in 25, Dharma now stands only on truthfulness And Kali, quarrel personified, is trying to destroy that leg. Boy, today I spoke to an old friend who's a lawyer here in the United States, but he's from Gujarat. And I had to explain how, certain family relationships with my wife's sister and brother are not good these days. And when you think about it, the causes of these disputes are so petty. But people, even in my childhood, my parents didn't maintain relations with their relatives. And so our family was a big extended family, but we never met anybody. And I remember when I came to Hyderabad in the 1970s, there'd be 25, 50 people living in one house, the extended family. They all would live together. And it's 50 years ago now, less than 50. But that system has broken down to a great extent all over India. And everybody's living independently becomes more costly and difficult to survive. And there's no help. The family, the kind of relations that there were, they all used to join together and do the tasks, household tasks, or Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Of course, Shudras, they did together in agricultural labor. So this kind of unity in society broke down. And there's a lot of quarrel. And, right now, Indians in South Africa are suffering, for instance, if you're following the news. Many, many years ago, I was in India and the Rajasthani business community in Orissa was attacked. Many people died. I mean, the Rajasthanis are all over India doing business, but they had to suffer. And this type of bodily identification, they belong to this community, that community. This is, what's the word? Endemic? I looked that up. Endemic. It's endemic means a disease or a condition regularly found among particular people or in a certain area. So Dehatma Buddhi is the disease, that I am this body, I belong to a certain community. And you start fighting, you're in a different community, or you're in a different family. So how to stop that? It's not easy in Kali Yuga. So the true Dharma was standing on one leg of truthfulness, and Kali was trying to destroy that leg. That's in 25. 26, the Lord Krishna's incarnation reduced the burden on the earth because Lord Krishna is all good. And he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When he touched the earth became purified. That's 26, 27. But now that he is gone, Bhumi, Bhudevi, Mother Earth, is crying because she is being ruled by unqualified low-class men who were not trained in Dharma. Then 28, by his words, Parikshit pacified Dharma and Bhumi and took up his sword to kill Kali. So Kali understood, and he was dressed as a king. So he abandons the clothing of the king and surrenders to Parikshit. 30 says, well, therefore he wasn't killed by Parikshit, he accepted his surrender. And 31, Parikshit tells Kali that he will not kill him, but he cannot remain in his kingdom. And then Parikshit says that Kali represents all sorts of bad qualities. And this 32, I thought, was a more important verse. So I thought to recite it Tvam vartamanam naradeva dehe shvanu pravritto yamadhar dharma pugaha lobho nritam chauryamanarya maho jeshta chamaya kalahascha dambaha. And the translation by Prabhupada is, if the personality of Kali, irreligion, is allowed to act as a man god or an executive head, certainly irreligious principles like greed, falsehood, robbery, incivility, treachery, misfortune, cheating, quarrel, and vanity will abound. 33 and 34, Parikshit says to Kali that you cannot reside in a place where the Lord is being worshipped by sacrifices. So then 33, this is 33 and 34, 35 to 38, Sutta explains that Kali, trembling, began to address Parikshit and asked him for a place to reside in his kingdom under his protection. Parikshit says he can live where there is gambling, drinking, prostitution, and animal slaughter. Where these things are practiced, he can live there. And 39, I also thought was important verse. Punascha yachamanaya, punascha yachamanaya, jata rupa madat prabhuhu, tato nritam madam kamam, rajo vairam chapanchamam. The personality of Kali asked for something more than these four places to reside, where there is gambling, drinking, prostitution, and animal slaughter. And because of his big begging, the king gave him permission to live where there is gold, because wherever there is gold, there is also falsity, intoxication, lust, envy, and enmity. So those are the words Anritam, falsehood, madam, intoxication, kamam, lust, rajaha, the mode of passion, vairam, enmity, chapanchamam, by enmity is the fifth, and passion is the fourth. So these five things are found wherever there is gold. 40 and 41, Sutta explained that Kali was allowed to stay in those places. He says that those who wish to follow dharma should not come in contact with these principles of adharma. 42, Parikshit reestablished these legs of dharma during his rule. The broken legs, which, what are the legs? What is it? Satyam, Dhamma, Tapa, Socham. Satyam, truthfulness. Satyam, Tapa, Tapasya. Socham, cleanliness. Satyam, Tapa, Dhamma, controlling the senses. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Truthfulness, austerity, mercy, daya, not Dhammam, daya. Mercy, truthfulness, cleanliness, austerity, and mercy. These are the four legs of dharma. And in Kali Yuga, only truthfulness is there. But during the kingdom of Raja Parikshit, all four were followed. And the condition of the earth improved during his reign as king. So the end of the chapter 43 to 45, Parikshit is ruling the world according to dharma. Sutta tells Shonaka and the rishis, and thus you are able to perform this sacrifice, the 1,000-year sacrifice that Sutta is narrating the histories during. So 18, we begin now, and I've used half the time for one chapter. 18 is Maharaj Parikshit cursed by a Brahmin boy. So 1 and 2, Sutta explains that due to the mercy of the Lord, Parikshit was saved in the womb. Although he was struck by Ashwatthama's Brahmastra, So that would have killed him. And Lord Vishnu brought him back to life, resuscitated him. And also Parikshit was a Sharanagata, fully surrendered soul. So he was not afraid of the curse that would kill him of a snake bite. And at the end of his life, Parikshit, number 3, Parikshit surrenders everything to Shukadev. Number 4, I thought I would recite. Notama shloka vartanam jushatam tat katamritam syat sambramo antakalepi smaratam tat padambujam. This was so, surrendering to Vishnu, because those who have dedicated their lives to the transcendental topics of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, of whom the Vedic hymns sing, and who are constantly engaged in remembering the lotus feet of the Lord, do not run the risk of having misconceptions even at the last moment of their lives. So, Bhagavad Gita says that those who think of, Lord Krishna says in Gita, that those who think of me at the last moment will come to me. Antakale chamameva smaran mukba kalebaram. One who thinks of me at the time of death is freed from a material body. So this is saying the same thing. This is saying the same thing, but it goes a little ahead. 1 second, excuse me. And this says that there may be a risk for someone who's not a bhakta to, at the last moment of their lives, forget about the Lord. But somebody who's dedicated, who is constantly engaged in remembering. So Gita says, Satatam kirtayanto mam, those who are always chanting my glories. And bhajanti ananya manasaha, those who always worship me in their mind. They won't have this misconception. Okay, 5, during the reign of Parikshit, Kali's influence was in check. 6, when Lord Krishna disappeared, Kali began to introduce a dharma throughout the world. 7 and 8, Parikshit was strong enough to resist the influence of Kali. 11 through 14, the rishis praise Sutta. They tell him that Krishna Katha is nectar. Due to the sacrifice and the fires that were burning in the sacrificial arena, they say that our bodies have become black due to the smoke from the sacrifices, but your words of Krishna Katha are nectar, that despite this unpleasant smoke, it's pleasing us. And they say that a moment's association with the devotee is better than residence in Indraloka or even moksha, what to speak of material pleasures. So there's high praise of Krishna Katha by the sages at Naimisharanya. So the sages say to Sutta, please continue to narrate Krishna's pastimes. Then rishis in 16 ask Sutta to describe how Parikshit attained moksha, liberation from the repetition of birth and death. The rishis ask Sutta to narrate what Shukadev told to Parikshit. And Sutta responds that despite my low birth, we become advanced by following Mahatmas, by following a great soul that counteracts a low birth. So 19, I thought, was an important shloka. Kutaf punar grinato nama tasya mahattam aikanta parayanasya yonanta shaktir bhagavanananto mahadgunatvad yamananta mahuhu. So what to speak of those who are under the direction of the great devotees, chanting the holy name of the unlimited Ananta, who has unlimited potency? And what to speak? The personality of Godhead, unlimited in potency and transcendental by attributes, is called Ananta. Unanta, anta and ananta, no end, unlimited. So 2021 Sutta praises Lord Krishna, explains that the Ganga purifies even Lord Shiva because it was touched by the toes of Lord Krishna. Trivikrama, Vaman avatar, pierced the universe, and the water from the spiritual world came as the Ganga, and Lord Shiva, to protect the world, took it on his head. But he became purified according to this. 22, those who are attached to Lord Krishna can give up all material attachments, including gross body and subtle mind. Not so easy, but possible. There's another verse, right? Oh, God. It should have come in my mind. It's not coming. 23 Sutta says that he will try to glorify Lord Vishnu as far as it is possible. 24, 25 Sutta begins the narration of Shamik Rishi and Parikshit finding him in meditation. Parikshit was wandering in the forest. He felt thirsty. He saw the kutir of Shamik Rishi, and he entered and saw the Rishi was in samadhi. That is described 24 and 25. And 26, he was absorbed in Brahma Sayujyam, not in bhakti, but he was liberated, it says. 27, 28, Parikshit asked Shamik Rishi for water, but he does not respond. So Parikshit became offended by the lack of the welcome, and he became angry. So 26, that 26 I did, and 27 is over. 28, the king becomes angry. 29, wow, I only have 5 minutes to finish. How many verses here? It's going to be hard to get through. There's 50 shlokas, and we're just about to 30. Let me see if I can finish it in 5. So the king became angry, 28. And then Sutta tells the rishis that the king, due to this extreme hunger and thirst, although he had never before been angry with the Brahmana, became angry with the Brahmana. So while leaving the hermit, the ashram, the kutir of the Raja, of the Rishi, the Raja picked up a dead snake with his dhanush, his bow, and angrily placed it on the shoulder of the sage and returned to his palace. So when he returned, he began to argue within himself and contemplate that had the Rishi actually been in dhyana, in meditation, or whether he was just pretending so he wouldn't have to serve a lower Kshatriya. So it says in 32 that the sage had a son who was very powerful, being a Brahmaputra. And when he was playing with inexperienced boys, he heard of his father's distress, which was occasioned by the king. And then and there, hearing that Raja put the snake on his father, his name was Shringi. That 33 begins the narration that these rulers are papacharis, and who are like crows and watchdogs at the door, and perpetrate sins against their master, the Brahmanas. contrary to dharma. 34, the descendants of the kingly orders are definitely designated as watchdogs. Shringi is talking, and they must keep themselves at the door. On what grounds can the dogs enter the house and claim to dine with the master on the same plate? So in Vedic culture, dogs are not allowed in the house, but nowadays people are keeping dogs. And okay, if someone is a Malecha and a Yavana, he doesn't know. That's no excuse in one sense, but they're ignorant. But the Hindus should know this, because no Hindus allow dogs in their house traditionally. But there are Western imitators allowing dogs. So then Shonika tells, Sutta tells Shonika that after the departure of Lord Krishna, I'm sorry. Shringi says that after the departure of Lord Krishna, who's the supreme personality of Godhead and who is the king of everyone, these rascal kings have come up and they are not protecting us. So I shall punish this king, just see my power. So the son of the Rishi, he became angry and his eyes became red hot. So he touched the water of the river Koshika while speaking to his playmates and discharged the following thunderbolt of words. And in 37, he curses the king to die from 7 days from now, when a snake bird will bite him because of his, what is it? It should come in my mind, this thing. Maryada Vyatikrama, I got it. Maryada means the rules of etiquette, and Vyatikrama means crossing over. So, therefore, Shringi, the son of Shamik Rishi, cursed Parikshit. And then he came and saw this snake on the shoulder of his father, and he started crying. And Sutta tells the rishis, the brahmanas in Naimisharanya, that Shamik Rishi was a descendant of Angira Muni. And hearing his son crying, he broke his samadhi and saw this dead snake around his neck. He threw the snake aside and asked his son why he was crying. Number 40, whether anyone had done him harm. On hearing this, the son explained what happened. So then the father heard from the son that the king had been cursed, although he should never have been condemned, for he was the best among human beings. The rishi did not congratulate his son, but on the contrary, began to repent, saying, alas, what a great sinful act was performed by my son. He has awarded heavy punishment for an insignificant offense. The same thing is going on right now in ISKCON. Oops. Anyway, now it's more, sorry. I shouldn't have deviated from the, what is it? We have 8 shlokas left. I'll try and finish it. We're going a little over the time. So the father tells the son, Shamik Rishi, to Shringi, my boy, your intelligence is immature and you have no knowledge that the king, who is Narashreshta, best of human beings, is as good as the personality of Godhead. He is never to be placed on an equal footing with common men. The citizens of the state live in prosperity, being protected by his unsurpassable prowess. So the principle that kingdom is to be protected by rajas so that people can live peacefully is a very important point here. So 43, the father tells the boy that if such kings do not exist, then the world becomes full of thieves. And they kill the citizens as if they were, lambs wandering helpless creatures. So 44 is due to the determination of the monarchical regimes and the plundering of the people's wealth by rogues and thieves. There will be great social disruptions. People will be killed and injured, and animals and women will be stolen. And for all these sins, we shall be responsible for having cursed the king. So 45, at that time, the people will give up Vedic culture, give up the Varnashram Dharma, and they will only be interested in Artha and Kama, and they will be like animals, like dogs and monkeys, it says. And then 46, Parikshit is praised as a great devotee and Rajarshi, and he has performed Ashwamedha Yagnas. And so he shouldn't be cursed because he's tired and fatigued and asked for water. So then the Rishi, Shamik Rishi, prayed to the Supreme Lord to pardon his son, who had no intelligence and who committed this papa of cursing Parikshit. And here it says that the devotees of the Lord are so forbearing that even if they are defamed, cheated, cursed, disturbed, neglected, or killed, they are never inclined to avenge themselves. So that's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Amanina Manadena. Devotees give respect to everyone, and they don't demand respect. 49, the sage regretted the sin committed by his own son. He did not take the insult paid by the king seriously. And 50, generally, the transcendentalists, even though engaged by others in the dualities of the material world, are not distressed, nor do they take pleasure in worldly things, for they are transcendentally engaged. So by this, we can do Atma Pariksha, self-introspection. I was talking about that and I didn't want to talk about it, but it's easy to criticize. But if we ourselves are full of faults, so the saying goes that persons that live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. So if we're not perfect, how can we criticize someone else? And especially if we're junior and he's the age of our father. So that was the Vedic civilization. There was humility, but we also see that the kings acted very strongly. So with that, I'll end the lecture part and take out the mic so the people who might have been attending on Facebook, although I didn't see today any comments over there in the chat window. No, nothing came in. All right, I'll end it there. Or okay, I'll continue that stream if there's
Hare
any
Krishna.
questions.
Thank you, Prabhu. So we will have the last session tomorrow on chapter 19, which is the last chapter of the first canto. Concluding, yes. So we'll have a full 30 minutes on the concluding chapter of the first canto. So any questions, any comments, or any reflections? Anupama Mataji, please.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam. How do we understand that dharma is standing on one leg of truthfulness when we see there is so much untruthfulness and cheating in society?
Well, it's mentioned there, and I don't know if I said that he was urinating on that leg. So even that leg is not, but the other things are totally destroyed. There's no mercy. The animal slaughter that we see going on is the proof that there's no mercy in society. And cleanliness in society, but there's a lot of STDs, sexually transmitted diseases, and AIDS, and other such diseases that came about by uncleanliness, by animal-like behavior. So mercy, truthfulness, and tapasya, austerity. Who performs tapasya now? We're all attached to including me, comfortable surroundings. I'm in comfortable surroundings. I'm not in the Himalayas. I'm not performing that type of tapasya. So we all, what can I say? We have a long way to go. And truthfulness is also, you are right. Truthfulness is violated left, right, and center in Kali Yuga. But at the same time, we find there is some truthfulness in society. Something. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Prabhupada made that observation that when he went to the West, he did find and he did acknowledge that there was truthfulness in the society there. He did obviously.
Even though it's a society of Malechas and Yavanas who are non-vegetarians, and alcohol here is like drinking water. So many liquor shops.
And Prabhu, there is another point which Prabhupada in many purports has stressed on the monarchical regimes. And Prabhupada has kind of to the point of condemnation of democracies, because he says you simply select your leader amongst the Sudras and they come and they rule you. So what can you expect? But even the monarchical regimes today are not the ones that are described in Srimad Bhagavatam, the personalities who were Raja Rishis. So when Prabhupada would say that, like, how would you reconcile with those in this?
Well, Prabhupada was an idealist, and he definitely expressed the desire to reestablish a varnashram-based society.
Right.
Yet the reality is that we don't have the, economic or military strength to impose a Vedic society on the world. So Prabhupada used the example of the communists, how they spread their ideology through books. And hey, China is still officially communist, even though unofficially it's not. I mean, they dominate the politics, but they're not really communists in the sense of the word of, classless society. There is no classless society. There are different classes. Wealthy class, the intellectual class, even though during the so-called Cultural Revolution, some 55 years ago, millions of people were slaughtered by the Maoist government of the day in China. So these things, they don't follow dharma, so it's just chaos. And so following dharma means Raja, who's Rajarshi, who studied Vedas, Veda Dhyanam. But that day, when will it come? When that is reestablished as the educational system? Hard to say.
Right. Thank you, Prabhu. We have Shweta Mataji. Shweta Mataji, please.
Thanks, Prabhuji, actually. And thanks, Prabhuji, for a very brilliant lecture, actually. Just a point on what Rasa Prabhuji just said about how Prabhupada has been critical of all these political systems and stuff like that, right? Actually, it's interesting. Even in economics, there is a lot of research that tends to kind of look at whether democracies are good or monarchies or dictatorships are good. And it's generally believed, actually, even from the data, that a benevolent dictator is a lot better than actually, these really bad democracies that we have. So just to say that just having a democracy doesn't mean it's going to be a good system for economic, spiritual, political developments or whatever. So just wanted to make that point. Thank you.
Thank you. Good point.
Yeah, very good point. Anupama Mataji.
Yes, Hare Krishna. I have another question. If there is time, can I ask another question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So we know that personalities like Vrinda Devi, they have a form in the spiritual world and they manifest differently in the material world. And then Ganga also, Ganga Devi, she was the wife of Shantanu Maharaj, and Yamuna Devi, she was one of the principal queens of Krishna. So I would like to know if Kali personified, when we talk about Kali personified, Dharma personified, do they also have such a human form, and where do they reside?
Well, apparently, according to this narration, there is a personified Kali. And where does he reside? Wherever these sinful activities, which are mentioned in the chapter, are, so he's all over the place. I mean, it's possible. It's hard to fully conceptualize how powerful one person can be. Well, the Devatas and then Lord Krishna are also not in our vision. We're praying Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami Bhavatu Me. May Lord Jagannath appear in front of us, but he doesn't. And we read, who was it that, I know we know Dhruva, and there was one more where they saw Lord Krishna one time. Parikshit saw Krishna once. Vishnu said, you won't see me again in this lifetime. Same thing to Dhruva. You won't see me again. And we don't see him at all. And yet we know that there's a Supreme Lord. So I don't know if that answered the question.
Do they have a permanent such personality, especially Kali? Does he have a permanent place of residence? I mean, in the Kali Yuga, he manifests in these places, but otherwise, he must have a place of residence.
It's like Chiranjeevis are there, but where are the Hanuman is still alive, according to Ashwatthama, Kripacharya, right? Who are the Sapta Chiranjeevis? Bali Maharaj, Prahlad, as I recall. So they live somewhere. Some are on this planet, some are. Bali Maharaj is not on this planet. Prahlad is also not on this planet. But Kripacharya, Ashwatthama, Hanuman are on this planet somewhere. So where do they live exactly? I can't tell you. Same with Kali. If there's a personified Kali who's so powerful that he's influencing the whole world, you'd think it'd be obvious where he is. And this was his address and phone number, but apparently he's incognito, apparently. More Puranas have to be read. There are, Prabhupada told one disciple that if it's in the Puranas, it's true. This is, I heard secondhand, I didn't hear from Prabhupada, but we take the version of Vedic literature, and the Puranas are the place where we get these stories. The Bhagavatam is one of the, Mahapuranas. It doesn't, unless it says there that he's living in such and such town, like Kalki will come from such and such. I can't remember the name now, right? But it's given in the Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
Kalki avatar will come out of a particular town in the Himalayas, and then all the rascals of Kali Yuga who became very degraded will be killed. And Satya Yuga will begin. Wonderful stories. We accept them as being true because we have faith in the Shastras, in these books. Okay, Prabhu, I hope that was, that answer was okay.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So Hare Krishna will come to the end of this session. This is actually session 7. I posted it on Facebook as session 6. We will have our session 8 tomorrow, Sunday morning. So please do join us. Also, you can inform more devotees to join and take benefit of these sessions. And we will also have Basu Ghosh Prabhu with us, as we said, for the Bhagavad Gita in Hindi. We'll work out some particular subject matters from the Bhagavad Gita and have some regular sessions. That would be in the evening from 8 to 8:30, from Sunday to Thursday. But we'll have to work out whether that time suits and it's convenient for Prabhu, because he has other commitments. It's daytime. It would be daytime for him where he is in the US. So I'll work it out and come back to all of you. So we meet again tomorrow for session 8 to culminate the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you very much.
Hare
All glories to His Grace Basu Ghosh Prabhu. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Vancha kalpataruvyascha
Jai Vaishnava.
All glories to the assembled Vaishnavas.
Hare
Dandavat pranams.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
So आज शाम को मिलेंगे हम His Holiness आत्मा निवेदन स्वामी महाराज के साथ 7:30 बजे ओमान टाइम, 9 बजे भारत का समय, और आज उनका 26 क्वालिटीज पे जो सेशन है, तो आइएगा सब। हरे कृष्णा। दंडवत प्रणाम। हरे कृष्ण। प्रभुपाद की जय।